Since training camp's opened, I'm pretty sure that the most surprising and compelling conversation I've had with anyone was with Ryan Graves, and I think that's a good thing. Good morning to you. Good Friday morning. I'm Dejan Kovacevic of DK Pittsburgh Sports. This is Daily Shot of Penguins. It comes your way bright and early every weekday. If you're into football and or baseball, I also offer daily shots of Steelers and Pirates in the same place that you found this. Graves became the guy in Pittsburgh last season among local hockey fans. And I don't mean that in a good way. He became the target, and he became the target on defense. Now, I'm going to specifically address some of you oldsters who listen to this show and remind you that this goes back a long, long way in our city's hockey lore. I'm only going to go back as far as Ron Stackhouse in the 70s. And even then, I was a very young child, but I remember that when Stackhouse would touch the puck, he would get booed. Why would he get booed? Guy put up a lot of points. Guy was very effective passer on the breakouts, started a lot of the rushes. A lot of people forget that there was life here before Mario Lemieux, real offensive life. And a lot of that was because there were guys like Stackhouse and then after him, Randy Carlyle and others who were very good at getting the puck up to some of their more dynamic forwards. Didn't matter. He didn't hit anybody. So he became Stackhouse in the most negative possible way that one can say the word Stackhouse. This tradition of sorts has never left us. There's always been a defenseman that we all feel the urge to pick on. Graves apparently feels that last season he was that guy. And he, like others before him, didn't blame the fans. He blamed the media, as in people who do what I do. And that's okay. That's okay. If our job is to criticize or to assess in whatever way, his job is to play hockey, that's not always going to come on parallel tracks. We're going to collide once in a while. And this wasn't one of those. He's a super friendly kid, exactly what you'd expect from Sidney Crosby's home province of Nova Scotia. They're all just so nice. And Graves might be nicer still than whatever the norm is up there. So whenever I approached him, he was cordial as ever, even though, he's kind of aware that I'm part of that group that he feels unfairly maligned him. We initially talked about, what he's done over the summer, got himself into exceptional shape by every accounting. Mike Sullivan confirmed this. Now, does that mean he was out of shape last season? No, it means that he's going to try to be a more upper body based physical type of defender, use all that size more effectively. This episode is brought to you by Bet Online, your number one source for all your summer sports needs this season, from Major League Baseball, golf, NHL, NBA playoffs. Get the latest odds and lines, including all team matchups, player props, odds on just about everything that's out there. Head to the website today or use your mobile device to get in on the action. Bet Online, where the game starts. And when I made reference to having ideally some sort of bounce back season, that was when he shared his view that he saw that as mostly a media exaggeration as opposed to a media concoction. He acknowledged it sounded like the way he described it from his ratio that he saw himself as having one bad game and two good games. I don't know that that's accurate, but I do know that if you're having one bad game and two good games, you're not doing particularly well in the National Hockey League. This isn't baseball where 333 gets you into the Hall of Fame. But he did go through video of his performance from last season. He did already, here in this camp, have a chance to meet with David Quinn, who's the new assistant coach, the former San Jose head coach, who's going to be tasked with getting Graves at the very least back to where he was both with the Avalanche and the Devils. But if I can be forgiven for continuing to be critical, a big, big part of improvement, not in hockey, not in sports, in life, is acknowledging what it is that you need to do to improve, or that you just plain old need to improve. And I've not really picked up on a lot of that from Graves in the year and change that he's been here. And if anyone's thinking of Graves from the prism of, oh, well, they'll just discard him eventually, last season was the first of 6 seasons to which he is signed at a $4.5 million AAV. That is not routinely discarded. Yes, Kyle Dubas was able to trade Mikael Granlund for Erik Karlsson somehow, but those trades are 1 in a billion, not even 1 in a million. So this player is one that you absolutely must turn into something. If that's third pairing, as I believe that it'll be, then he's got to be the best third pairing version of Graves that he can be. I don't know about you, but I'm seeing a top 4 of Erik Karlsson and Marcus Pettersson, along with Chris Letang and already his partner here, Matthew Grzelcyk. That, to me, leaves Graves and Jack St. Ivany. And Graves has to be a penalty-killing guy in that scenario. So you're asking him not only to be a better 5-on-5 player, but also a better special teams guy. And what you're really hoping for is that he's legitimately better than the people below him on the depth chart. All I can predict out of all this is that if and when that were to occur, I sure wouldn't be saying or writing mean things. It's funny how that works. When we come back, J1Q. Today's J1Q comes from Rob, who says, hey, DK, Mike Sullivan every year says something along the lines of how these players are competitive, they play hard, they care. Well, that hasn't worked for several seasons now. Of course they care, but it takes more than that, and I'm hoping that the Penguins end up in the Metropolitan Division's top 3 all season. But if they go through a pretty bad losing spell, how short is that leash for keeping Sullivan behind the bench? Rob, I'm out of the predictions business. I don't do them anymore. I don't find them useful, but I feel very comfortable sharing with you what I know in the present. And that's this. Management, led by Kyle Dubas, loves this head coach. Dubas loves Sullivan. Let me make that as plain as it can possibly be. And whatever doubts anyone might have had from Dubas on upward through the folks at Fenway Sports Group, they were erased in a big, big way with that final month of last season. Now, that might not be acceptable to you, and from the sound of your question, it probably isn't. That might not be acceptable to others. I'm not even stating an opinion on it. I'm stating that that's how they feel, and I'm not guessing at that. They really, really believe in this guy. And if anything, the final month only demonstrated to everybody over Sullivan's head that if the players would just play the way he'd want them to play, and they did so consistently, and they did so with a sense of purpose, then they're just fine. And that the head coach is not the problem, because realistically, it's not the coach's task to motivate people at the top level of a sport. It just isn't. I know that's a popular line of thought, but by the time you make it to the NHL or into Major League Baseball or the NFL, motivation really shouldn't be a button you still have to have help to press. And in fact, in talking to some of these players since camp started, one of the things that's come up has been that they realized that when they do those things, the whole play the game the right way, 200-foot concepts, that's the way they feel they're going to make the playoffs this coming season. By doing those things, by doing them the way they did them over the final month. So in that spirit, that sounds like anything but a group of players who's ready to, build up some mutiny or something like that. So the reason that I don't do short leash stuff or prediction stuff is because, look, anything can happen. If they start the season 0-10, Okay, all conversations are on the table in any setting. I don't care if you've got peak Scotty Bowman behind your bench. Scotty's in trouble at 0-10, all right? But as things stand right now, there is very, very solid footing for Sullivan. I appreciate the question. I appreciate everybody listening to Daily Shot of Penguins. We'll be back with another one of these on Monday.